dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. We begin with some sad news we've been following today. Kentucky bluegrass music legend Bobby Osborne has died. Osborne is, of course, a Leslie County native, best known for his unique bluegrass sound and mandolin playing. He was one half of the legendary bluegrass duo, the Osborne Brothers. He said he never got tired of singing their signature song, Rocky Top, which he made popular with his brother Sonny, who died back in 2021. We will have much more on Bobby Osborne's life and legacy coming up tonight at 6. Now to some national news. Former President Donald Trump is facing federal criminal charges for his alleged mishandling of classified documents. One of the key pieces of evidence revealed in the indictment was the transcript of an audio recording where Trump describes secret documents. CBS's Skyler Henry has more on that from the White House.
CBS News has obtained an audio recording that Special Counsel Jack Smith refers to in his indictment, charging former President Donald Trump with mishandling classified documents.
See, as president, I could have been less. No, I can't, but this is
According to the indictment, the recording is from a 2021 conversation Trump had at his New Jersey golf club with a book writer, publisher, and 2 staffers. Trump can be heard talking about a document he suggests was a plan from Joint Chiefs Chair General Mark Milley.
He said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military and given to me.
Trump pleaded not guilty to the 37 charges he faces and claims this indictment is part of a political attack to keep him from returning to the White House.
They even tried to have me arrested. I'm a candidate. I said, wait a minute, I'm a candidate. You're arresting a candidate? Yeah, because you're leading. That's why we're arresting.
Trump told voters in New Hampshire he could face more charges as Special Counsel Jack Smith also investigates attempts to overturn the 2020 election, including a phone call Trump made to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, asking him to find votes needed to win the state.
There could be others coming, like for a perfect phone call. Numbers will keep going up.
Raffensperger is scheduled to talk with investigators Wednesday. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Trump's trial for the government documents case is scheduled for August 14th, but Trump's lawyers are expected to ask to push the trial back to a later date. Special Counsel Jack Smith's office is set to interview Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger in the federal probe into efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Raffensperger's office confirmed the interview is scheduled for tomorrow. In January 2021, then President Trump called Raffensperger to press him to, quote, find the votes needed for Trump to win the state of Georgia. President Joe Biden won Georgia by nearly 12,000 votes. The Supreme Court has rejected a controversial election law theory backed by supporters of former President Trump. The state Supreme Court invalidated North Carolina's 2022 congressional map and replaced it with court-drawn maps that favored Democrats. North Carolina Republicans argued the state high court exceeded its authority. In his opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts said state courts have the authority to apply state constitutional restraints. A federal judge has denied Sam Bankman-Fried's motion to dismiss some of the criminal charges against him. Federal prosecutors say the crypto entrepreneur orchestrated one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history. The 31-year-old faces 13 federal counts, including wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Today, the judge denied efforts to have some of those charges thrown out. The decision sets the stage for Bankman-Fried to stand trial in October. A report out today says Jeffrey Epstein was able to kill himself in jail due to careless but not criminal behavior. That determination is from the Justice Department's Office of the Inspector General. It says multiple employees failed to conduct rounds when Epstein was at the New York City's Metropolitan Correctional Center in 2019. The report says Epstein should have been roomed with a fellow inmate since he was on suicide watch.
Plenty of sunshine throughout parts of the region today, and it wasn't too uncomfortable out there either. The view from our camera at the University of Virginia's College in Wise shows, well, the part of the image we can see, there we go, plenty of sunshine, just a few of those fair weather clouds out there. Mid-70s now in the Big Sandy. We're starting to recover those temperatures after the clouds, the showers that we had. Mid-70s Clintwood, upper 70s in Grundy, closer to the 80s as you head out toward Lake Cumberland. And those dew points in low to mid-60s mean it is muggy, but it's not overly muggy out there right now. We continue to watch a few downpours, some not far from Prestonsburg, some pushing out of Pike County and shortly into Dickinson and McCannon counties in southwest Virginia. Everybody else, other than maybe the folks in eastern parts of, let's say, Knox County and the northern parts of Bell County, seeing a little bit of a downpour. There again, those showers pushing out south of Phelps over toward Clintwood and Grundy over the next little bit. Your forecast first, we end the showers through the evening and drop us into the upper 60s, but starting to see that fog develop as we head into the morning. Details, Steve, on when heat returns and the potential for a few storms in a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Evan. Just days after an armed rebellion, Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke in Moscow's Cathedral Square, praising his country's security forces for stopping what he called a civil war. Last night, in his first public appearance on television since the weekend revolt, Putin called the organizers traitors. CBS's Ian Lee reports from Ukraine.
The failed mutiny last weekend still hangs heavy over Russian President Vladimir Putin. He lashed out again at Wagner's leadership on state TV last night, saying they would be punished for the rebellion. But he also courted the rank and file, calling many Wagner fighters patriots who were misled and invited them to join the Russian army. The Ministry of Defense announced today that Wagner will now hand over its heavy weapons. Putin's speech last night followed an audio recording from Yevgeny Prigozhin, who has not been seen publicly since Saturday. The Wagner boss denied trying to overthrow Putin, saying his fight was with the country's military leaders, who he accused of failing to win the war in Ukraine. Putin tried to mask the uncertainty in the country last night with images that he's firmly in control. He met with his security chiefs, including Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu, and thanked them for their support. State media portrayed a return to business as usual, with scenes of battlefield victories in Ukraine. But Saturday's mutiny showed cracks in Putin's strongman image. Wagner troops quickly seized the city of Rostov and the Russian military southern command, then headed toward Moscow. It took a deal, brokered by the president of Belarus, to stop his deadly advance toward the city. Wagner fighters would be pardoned, and Prigozhin would go into exile in Belarus. Putin also took aim at the West, telling his people that Russia's enemies wanted them to choke on bloody civil strife. On Monday, President Biden distanced the United States from the insurrection.
We gave Putin no excuse to blame this on the West or to blame this on NATO. We made clear that we were not involved. We had nothing to do with it. This was part of a struggle within the Russian system.
U.S. officials tell CBS News another $500 million aid package to Ukraine will be announced today. That'll include Bradley and Stryker armored fighting vehicles, equipment that Ukraine desperately needs as it continues to take ground in its counteroffensive. And today we're learning a plane linked with Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin has landed in the Belarus capital of Minsk. No word yet if he was on board. Ian Lee, CBS News, Piryatyn, Ukraine.
Coming up on Mountain News at